It's great having you with me today on Paint a Beautiful Picture. This is episode number 302, taking the dis out of dysfunction. You know, a couple weeks ago we talked about dysfunction in many areas. And since then, I've encountered so many things that really compel me to talk about this some more. Okay, I hear people and they'll go, so and so's family, they're just a bunch of fill in the blank. You know, I've heard all kinds of things recently. What's amazing is sometimes it's within a family unit. So they're talking about their sister's kids or their cousins, uh, people reasonably close to them, and they're just going on and on and on. And basically, they're disrespecting those people and insulting them and carrying on about how worthless they are and how stupid they are and how poorly they live. And yeah, you get the idea. As we talked about a couple weeks ago, everybody has dysfunction. Every family unit has dysfunction. And I acknowledge to you, it is discouraging or disheartening to see it and be powerless to change it or influence it. There's no question about that. So I really want to admit that to you right off the bat. I would readily admit to you that I have siblings and nieces and nephews that just make me sad and could make me really upset. And yet, that's not within my power to change. They made choices and they have continued to make decisions that have brought about the life that they have. I can't change it. But you know what? All of us have levels and kinds of dysfunction. Wouldn't it be amazing if we could humbly acknowledge to ourselves, as well as to others, that I have my problems too? So I see your problems and I'm sad about them. And I acknowledge that that must be really challenging. Uh, is there some way I can support you? Is there some way in which I can encourage you? And if I know or have experienced things differently than you, and I'm in a position to, may I help you? What you have to know is no one is going to take help from someone with this superior attitude and look down their nose response. Nobody wants help from someone like that. Let's be serious. And I will readily admit to you that there have been points in time in my life when I was that very offensive person, for which I am truly sorry now. And I have learned differently that that attitude really doesn't get you anywhere. So, if you are prone to be disrespectful to other people that you know, or persons even that are in some ways affecting your life, whether that would be your own parents or your siblings and their children, still, you need to get to the place where you can be not so rude and not so disrespectful that you are the person erecting walls and keeping things in conflict. I think that there is validity to saying this level of dysfunction isn't healthy for me. So I can't associate with you right now. I don't choose to talk to you right now. I'm going to be taking a break from this relationship for a while. I actually believe that's really appropriate. If there's someone in your family who's such a severe alcoholic or such a radical drug addict that every single thing they do is self-destructive to the level that you can't handle it and it's affecting your mental and emotional well-being or that of your children, you're definitely in the right to say, I just can't handle this right now. Really and truly, it is not a problem to be self-protective or to protect one's own family unit. That's not really a problem. But on the other hand, you need to know that that level of what might look like rejection or betrayal long term is not going to help them either. And so, as we know, life needs balance. Sometimes you're going to pour your life out to someone and it might be completely meaningless to them, or it looks like it is for a while. And sometimes you might pull in and protect yourself. I'm not telling you that either one of those coping mechanisms is bad or wrong or questionable. It is that in the right circumstances, at the right times, it may very well be helpful, and at other times, it may be preferable to try to find middle ground. And middle ground is the hardest thing of all to find. There's no question about that. So, in a very dysfunctional family, someone might say, and again, we're talking about your parents or your siblings or some of your cousins, even some of your friends to whom you're really close, it might be, I really needed you and you just weren't there for me. Well, no, because I was busy with my own children and my own family. And, I have a 12-year-old and a 14-year-old. I've got a lot to handle. Mom, I can't just leave my kids in the lurch and run down the street because you hollered at me. That happened recently with someone, and the mom was very unrealistic, but in her dysfunction, she thinks that everything should just get dropped immediately when she hollers and someone should come take care of her. Yeah, that's pretty dysfunctional. I mean, great Scott. Come on, let's get real. You're in your late 50s. You're more than capable of taking care of yourself. And if you're not by now, that isn't on me. I have young people in my house that do need me, so I had to make a decision. Yeah, that's a balancing act, but that's middle ground, and that's being able to say very honestly to someone, these people needed me more than you, and you're just going to have to handle that because you're old enough to do that. I want you to understand all of us have areas in our world where we are dysfunctional, where we are not functioning optimally. Every single one of us. But having the burden of other people's disrespect in addition to that isn't going to help anything. So we don't have control over the other guy. By the grace of God, we have a certain level of control over ourselves, over our own thoughts and emotions and behaviors. And we need to say, just because you're pretty dysfunctional doesn't mean that I need to disrespect you. Let's take the dis out of dysfunction. Please join me tomorrow for part 2. Here's what I want you to know. Even if you are really struggling, even if things are very dysfunctional and you don't have a lot of coping skills, keep coming back. Let's continue this conversation in order that you might learn how to function more effectively in a more healthy way with all the challenges and all the issues of life. I promise there are things for all of us to learn, ways for all of us to improve, and honestly, even things we can do that will help us to find more joy in our lives, even in the midst of all the dysfunction. Thank you for being with me today on Paint a Beautiful Picture. You may find additional information on our paintabeautifulpicture.com website. Additionally, you may watch me on Rumble, and you may also listen to a podcast on Buzzsprout or Spreaker, all under the name Paint a Beautiful Picture. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. You may subscribe, and if you are interested in receiving notifications, please hit the notifications button.